FetishDomBerlin, and this is the interview for Xtube. And I must say I have many in my videos, you probably can see that, but it's mainly BDSM and with me as a top. And how to develop BDSM, it was more like a curiosity. Over time I tried to explore it with different people, and I discovered that I liked some stuff, and that's how it evolved over time. It's always changing, so that's the fun thing about BDSM. It always changes and evolves over time. And with I think it was mostly a surprise. One day I was just having sex with someone, and suddenly it happened, and I was like, oh, I love to do it as a top. And there you go. That's it. That's my main two fetishes and how I discovered them. That's an interesting question. In my particular opinion, I think it's very important to be transparent and honest with your sexual partners. So if you have something you want to try, I think the best thing you can do is communicate it clearly and try getting a consent to try what you want to do. But be very, very clear, and do not try anything without asking for consent first. And how to find people with similar interests. I think there's many platforms for that. Many social media platforms focused on interests such as FetLife, Grindr, and many others, and I think that's a perfect way to go about and find more people with similar interests. Yes, I think that vanilla sex is very enjoyable as well, but that's for me. I do enjoy having just regular vanilla sex and not necessarily involving any fetish or any of my kinks. It's totally fine, but it's just my personal experience, my personal opinion. Well, that's a very difficult question. Most common, I have no idea, but I think that is very common for people to like to be submissive or dominant in some way, and that's not necessarily I don't know, I'm not sure if that counts as a fetish, but if I would say a fetish that's very common, maybe foot. People that like foot are very common around. Being very common, and people into latex or leather as well, or sports gear. Maybe sports gear is super common into the gay community. Maybe it's the most common one, but I really don't know which one is actually the most common one. But I guess that's it. That would be my guess. As I mentioned before, I think it's super important to communicate that with your partners. And trying to find people that like the same stuff as you do, and people that are more experienced. I think that if you are, for example, more submissive or more interested in exploring your submissive side, trying to find people more experienced than you. I think that's a good tip, no matter if you're submissive or whatever. Always trying to find people that are ideally more experienced than you and can teach you how to explore that more. Or depending on what you're into, trying to find even a book that can be helpful for you. There's many books that are very good, and I can even give you an example. Just give me a second. For example, if you are interested in BDSM, there's this book here called The Topping Book. It's very good. It explains a lot about let's say the theory side about being a top in a BDSM context, and it's super good to understand how it works. And if you're a beginner, I would definitely recommend having that book if you're understanding being more dominant or being the top in BDSM relationships. And there's also this version for submissive people, so keep an eye for that if you're interested. That's a good way to start understanding BDSM and exploring it. And go ahead, jump in, good luck. Definitely a do is watch out for consent. Always ask for consent first for whatever you're doing. Make sure that your partner is aware of what is going to happen and ask permission for that. A don't is obviously do not meet people that disregard your boundaries. So if someone seems to not care about what you want, do not meet with that person. It will be dangerous for you. Most likely you're not going to enjoy it. So take care of that, take care of yourself. You're the most important person on the planet, so do not do anything without consent, okay? That will be my most important recommendation. I'm not sure if criticized, but weirdos sometimes text weird things on the internet, but I never paid much attention, so it's even hard for me to respond to this question. But it happened already a few times that I would be talking to someone about some of the crazy stuff I've done in sex, and people would be like, wow. But here in Berlin,